live and direct from the Golden State. It's intelligent talk media, the Denice Gary Show. Now, here's Denice Gary.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is great to be with you today, Tuesday the 26th of June. And we've just got, I don't know if the camera catches a glimpse of everything here on the stack that I want to get through today, but we're starting very local right here in the city of Bakersfield, and we're going right from the city to the state to the nation to international affairs today. So here we go, and I've got about 35 minutes to get it done. So let's start. I wanted to talk about the Bakersfield City Council. The fact that it was 6-1, a vote 6-1 in favor of putting on the ballot in November a tax increase, a sales tax increase, like we need more. Like we need another tax, like we need one more tax raised upon the electorate here in Bakersfield and Kern County in California, and I just really disappointed. It's supposed to be a sales tax, city sales tax of 1%. It takes the local sales tax from 7.25% to 8.25%. Ken Weir, City Council member Ken Weir, I've got a call into his office. I'm hoping to get him on the show this week, maybe tomorrow. I want him to explain to all of us why this is not in the best interest. I'll tell you what, based on the limited amount of research I've been able to do so far, it's my understanding that the reason why he is against it and voted against it because he's concerned, as are a lot of people, that too large a portion of the funds from the sales tax increase is going to pay for those rising pension costs. People that have retired, that maybe didn't even need to retire, that could have kept on working, but they retired. And I know people like that retired just so they could get their pension and live on Easy Street. And the taxpayers are paying those pensions. So, you know, the point of the sales tax, according to council members, is to increase public safety, to use the tax increase to aid in public safety and address homelessness, which is a serious issue, particularly among the military personnel that are really suffering from all kinds of issues, including post-traumatic stress syndrome. So, you know, if I thought that it was actually going to go a 1% tax increase from $7 to $8 was actually going to go, 7 to 8% is actually going to go on homelessness and helping America's veterans and the veterans here in the city of Bakersfield and Kern County, that would be one thing, and to aid public safety. But I think the concern is that according to City Manager Alan Tandy, he said that maybe 14% of the $50 million raised by this tax increase, $50 million raised by the tax increase, would go to CalPERS. Anyway, let's hope I can get Ken Weir on the station. Ken Weir, if you're listening today, come on the broadcast tomorrow. Let's talk about it. Moving on, the Kern High School District. The Kern High School District Board of Trustees is set to consider a settlement of hostile working environment complaints. Now, these particular hostile working environment complaints are centered around students that are physically and verbally assaulting teachers. And I wanted, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I'm an educator, and I've been an educator for a number of years. From kindergarten to the university level, the University of California, Irvine, several community colleges. But I know that I think I'm one class away. I am one class away from getting a high school teaching credential. And I stepped away from the program and entered the University of Southern California to get my master's degree because I witnessed this years ago when I was working towards a secondary teaching credential. And that was the tremendous show of the majority, not the minority, the majority of students who were extremely disrespectful and rude to anybody that was in authority. And I don't know who the superintendent of schools was at that particular time. I don't know if it was Carter. I know Brian Schaefer is the current superintendent of schools. Can you look up the current high school district number for me? So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I want to say about this issue. The fact that the current high school district board of trustees is set to consider a settlement on this, the superintendent said he would give a report prior to the next board meeting, and apparently at the time of this writing, June 20th, it hadn't been done. And the teachers, the first complaint was from a teacher and a coach, Terry Chapman, and I don't see, Johnny Moran, Bakersfield High School teacher, was the other one who was verbally threatened by a student. I've been verbally threatened by students. I had a Hispanic student in Delano when I was teaching up there draw a picture of a gun and, say some comment like, "This is for you." It happens more than you can imagine as a tax-paying citizen, and it all starts at the top. That's my argument today. And so, do you have the number for the Bakers? Could you tell the audience, please? Here's
Yes,
the number.
the phone number I have here is 661-827-3100.
Say it again, please.
661-827-3100.
Okay. 827-3100. 827-3100. So this is what I'm going to ask you to do. It's past time that we had leadership at the top of the current high school district, because Carter certainly didn't get the job done when he was superintendent of schools, and now Brian Schaefer is superintendent of schools. They need to instill discipline. You say, well, there's a lot of pressure from parents in the community. Have some backbone. Take a stand. Man up. It is time that teachers can know that the administration is going to back them up. I remember, this was years ago, to underscore how long this problem has been going on under prior superintendents of the current high school district. I remember when I was substituting, and it was for a brief period of time between positions, and the students were vicious to me. I mean, absolutely vicious. And they walked in and out of the classroom, and I went to the dean of students. I don't know if this was Liberty or Centennial, or I don't know. I think some of those schools are brand new, so it might not have been them, but it would have been an older school, but well, I don't remember what school it was. But the bottom line is that students were really out of control, and it was so difficult. You wanted to, you're a professional, you smile, you walk in there. The teacher didn't even bother to have proper lesson plans for me so that I could just start with a bang and get right into a lesson. At the time, moving back here, I had a master's degree in political science, international relations, and was ready to go. But it was just unbelievable, the disrespectfulness. And when I talked to the dean after the day, the dean said something like, well, I'm sorry. It was like there was no punishment, and there is no punishment. A lot of students that are disrespectful and rude every day to their teachers, they're right back in the classroom the next day. And I know that you can't whip a student anymore, but you know what? So maybe we really need to take a hard look at discipline today. You don't want to release them back home because chances are both parents are working. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my iPhone going off. Rockets have just landed in a community in Israel. Before I came into the studio today, there were how many? One, two, I hate it when, don't you hate it when they put those pop-up ads right in the middle and you're trying to read something? So I believe there were like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12, 13, 14 bombs, rockets landing in Israel within the last hour. Say a prayer for the children, for the families. Right now in Jerusalem, you know, it's 10 hours ahead. So looking at it's 3 o'clock in the morning. So, you know, people that have to get up and go to work, children that have to get up and go to school, mothers. 3:10 in the morning in Jerusalem right now, and they're running out of their homes, and they're running across their yards, and they're running to a shelter. And some of them have little babies that are now screaming bloody murder because they were awakened in the middle of the night all of a sudden because mommy or daddy had to pick them up and rush them out. Think about that. And you know what? I'm going to pause from my conversation from the Kern High School District. I'm going to take a detour for just a moment. I'll come back to the Kern High School District, but I want to take a detour for just a moment. The Supreme Court of the United States ruled today in favor of President Trump. It was the first significant so far of Trump's policies and power as the chief executive of the United States with respect to immigration and people who come into this country. And very simply, I want to say this. You have to know who's entering your country. Israel is surrounded by Muslim, Arab groups. And because they're Jews, they're attacked. Because there's a Jewish state. If you took the Jewish state out of the Middle East, whatever Jews remained would still be attacked. It's called anti-Semitism. Prince William, the first royal visit from England finally occurred in Israel. Prince William showed up in Israel today in Jerusalem and visited Yad Vashem. Unbelievable that this is the first visit by the royal family in Great Britain to come to Israel and to visit Yad Vashem. Getting back to the travel ban issue. I don't know if any of you recall the former FBI director, James Comey, but James Comey got a few things right, and one of the things he got right was the exploding Muslim immigration issue that was overwhelming the FBI. Remember when the former FBI director said to the American people, what keeps him up at night is what he doesn't know. Because there are not and there were not enough FBI agents, and there were not and are not enough resources within the FBI to maintain a watchful eye over people that are in the process of being recruited to be Islamic terrorists in this country. But together with the FBI and the CIA, there has not been a major attack on the scale of 3,000 people killed, but there have been several attacks here in California and elsewhere here in the United States. And I didn't bring in my reports to read you a laundry list. Maybe I should have. But there have been several attacks here in the United States, and some of them you will never know about, and some of them we have read about over the last few years. The bottom line is this, is that an ISIS terrorist does not need to hop a fence or swim a river to reach the United States. They can enter the U.S. legally as a student. Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Hamas, and Palestinian terrorists can enter under the skilled guest worker program as a refugee, as an entrepreneur, as a tourist. They can fly here in the comfort of a jumbo jet. They can walk over here as an illegal immigrant. Now they'll be detained under President Trump. But under Obama, all those pictures that you saw of children separated from their parents and the 60,000 unaccompanied minors that came in during the Obama administration, they were held in detention by Obama, and those pictures are from 2014, most of what I've seen. Anyway, the bottom line is the Supreme Court has a right as the commander-in-chief and the chief executive of the United States to protect this country. Thomas Jefferson, when he talked about the purpose of government, pointed to the preamble of the Constitution of the United States, which says in the preamble of the Constitution of the United States that the purpose of government was to secure the blessings of liberty and to provide for the common defense. To secure the blessings of liberty, the freedom of the people here in the United States is to protect them, is to keep them safe, and provide for the common defense. And that travel ban that had to do with Muslim countries as well as North Korea and Cuba was important because, and one of the things that I want you to recall is FDR used his authority as the chief executive of the United States to protect the American people from people coming in that may have been spies working for Japan or Germany. That's right. That's why Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a Democrat, instituted a ban on people entering the country from Germany and Japan. This is why Jimmy Carter, a Democrat, initiated a ban on Iranian students coming into the country, because it was Iranian students and Iranians that were involved in kidnapping the Americans in Tehran, Iran in 1979 and holding them as hostages in the United States Embassy in Tehran for over a year and torturing them. So there have been Democrats. Ronald Reagan initiated a temporary ban. The ban that President Trump initiated, which Democrats will not tell you, was a temporary moratorium or ban until those states cooperated with the United States State Department and the Department of Homeland Security to properly vet people that were coming, that wanted to come into the United States. And I want to ask you, if you're a Democrat or a moderate Republican or an undeclared or an independent, really do you think Yemen, a country that's embroiled in civil war, where you've got Iranians backing the Houthis and you've got Saudi Arabia on the other side backing the Sunnis, I mean, do you really think that the Yemenis government is in a position to properly vet people coming into the United States? Of course not. And that's why they're on the list. Think about it. Do you really think Libya, that has been in a state of crisis since President Obama and Hillary Rodham Clinton initiated a war in that country so that now ISIS and Al-Qaeda and terrorist groups walk the streets with armed machine guns? I mean, really? Is the Libyan government going to be able to properly vet people? They couldn't even protect our Ambassador Stevens, and our Marines that were there on the ground trying to protect the embassy, the consulate there in Benghazi, and the CIA annex that was, within blocks of the consulate there in Benghazi. Great Britain had the sense to leave. The International Red Cross had the sense to leave. They all left Benghazi. But Hillary Rodham Clinton and Barack Hussein Obama had us stay there, and 4 Americans were slaughtered. Thanks to the policies of a Democrat. So the president looked at countries like Yemen, like Libya, like North Korea, like Cuba, and he looked at countries that were not going to cooperate with the United States. Yes, there are other Muslim dominant countries, and Democrats love to point to Saudi Arabia, but that's not the point. If the president made it clear, if countries would cooperate with the United States, all could be well, and they could drop off the list, like Iraq. Iraq dropped off the moratorium, the temporary ban. So we've got to go to a commercial break, but I want to say one other thing before we do. on this ban deal, I want you to think about it's not just a national security issue. It's a cultural issue. It's also a law enforcement issue. For example, our local sheriff's department and police department have a responsibility to arrest people that are involved in female genital mutilation. It is not only against federal statutory law, it's against international law. It is a crime against humanity for little girls to have their genitals mutilated. And one of the things that came out during the number of Muslims that President Obama and the State Department allowed during his tenure in office, 8 years, was that the increase in female genital mutilation in our country rose significantly. Hundreds of cases, hundreds of arrests were made to try to save the lives of little girls. And it has been a big deal. It's still a big deal. And I know it's not talked about, and I know you're not going to hear people on the other radio stations broadcast it, but they're not a Middle East specialist. And I'd like to tell you that as someone that has been involved in Middle Eastern affairs for years and had top secret clearances, it's a big deal. There are a lot of crimes that are allowed in a Muslim society that are not allowed here in the United States. One of the things I just saw coming over here was Saudi men mocking Saudi Arabian women who got the right to drive a car today. I don't know if you knew that, but Saudi women got the right to drive a car today, finally in 2018. So I want you to understand and think about, there's going to be women that by a conservative father or grandfather or uncle or brother that are going to be pulled from that car and beaten to a pulp. Maybe even killed. Maybe they'll be whipped inside their home or inside their mosque. It doesn't matter that the government decided that, they finally look like they're slightly moving towards modernity in the modern world for the sake of sending a message to the United States and the allies. You can count on us. There will be women who will be tortured and killed for this, because this is a country that doesn't believe in equality of the sexes. That's just the culture. And you can say, who are you to criticize the culture? I'm somebody that believes in Judeo-Christian standards for my culture. And last time I checked in my Bible, it said men and women are equal. So that's what I believe, and that's what our Judeo-Christian culture stands for. And I think it's the best in the world. And I don't care if that offends you at all. I think our Judeo-Christian values, the Ten Commandments, freedom, that all men are created equal, as Abraham Lincoln said when he freed the slaves. All men are created equal, and it's evil to continue slavery. But yet, in the Muslim world, whether you're brown, black, or white, you're still enslaved, especially if you're an infidel. The sex slave trade is alive and well, and kidnapping children, as long as they're going to be used for the purpose of terrorism or used for pedophilia among the courts of the princes in the Islamic world, it's okay. So there's a lot that you might not know about. So that maybe the President of the United States got told by people like his former National Security Advisor, General Michael Flynn, who knew what was going on in the Middle East, and others like him, soldiers that have been there, that they've seen it. I'll never forget the military veteran that was sitting here in not this studio, when I was on Christian radio, Kerry. He came to the studio and he says the first thing he saw when he got off the boat into Saudi Arabia, there was a soccer game. And they said, oh, let's go see the soccer game. So these military men from America, military personnel from America went to the soccer game. Guess what they saw? For the show during the, what do they call it, in the middle of the game?
Halftime.
Halftime. The show at halftime was seeing a woman killed. because some male member of her family accused her of something. We've got to take a break. We've got to take a break. I've gone long on this segment. I apologize. My producer is giving me the look. I apologize. When we come back, more on California. Okay.
I want to tell you about a place I love to go, Frugati's Italian Restaurant. Very few locations here provide seating outside in front of a fabulous water fountain with an atmosphere that is reminiscent to me of eating outdoors in Venice. This is real Italian food by real Italians. And what makes it even more so is owner Ralph Frugoletti, who nearly a quarter century ago brought a wood fire oven from Milan, Italy to make, like his mother, fresh homemade bread and pizzas. Moreover, Frugati's Restaurant offers you not only the very best in Southern Italian cooking, even importing the finest ingredients for authentic Italian food, including a fitness menu. After all, Ralph has represented the United States and Italy, competing in the Master Championship Games. He knows all the right food for good fitness, so check out the menu. After today's broadcast, run over to Frugati's Italian Restaurant and Catering at 600 Coffee Road here in Bakersfield. And after a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday service, stop into Frugati's for a great lunch. I'll see you there, and tell Mr. Ralph Frugoletti that Denice sent you. Salute. Buon appetito.
Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to legal matters, contact Barb Reynolds. She is a contract paralegal to lawyers, and she will take good care of you. Moreover, she is a Kern County legal document assistant to pro per litigants. She has 47 years of paralegal experience, and for over 30 years has been an educator in the field of law and paralegal work. If you need help handling your adoption, bankruptcy, civil suit, divorce, debt consolidation, evictions, immigration, or attorney referrals, contact Barb Reynolds if you want to win your case. Call Tehachapi Court Services today at 661-822-1994. Barb is simply the best. Call Tehachapi Court Services today at 661-822-1994. Ladies and gentlemen, recover your cub at Tehachapi Municipal Airport. Contact Ken Hetke. Ken Hetke is the best. His number, 661-822-2827. Get a piece of paper and a pencil. Again, that telephone number is 661-822-2827. 822-2827. If you've got to park your aircraft, if you want to lease a hangar, or you want to buy a hangar, if you want to rent some aircraft, if you want to rent an aircraft, if you want to maintain it, if you need modifications made to it, if you want some interior work done, if you want it clean washed and detailed, if you want to visit the Aviation Museum, call Ken Hetke, 661-822-2827. Recover your cub at Tehachapi Municipal Airport. It looks like he's got all 5 stars here. Incredible. A++ experience. That's what people say when they go to visit Ken Hetke in Tehachapi Municipal Airport. Okay. Thanks, Ken. Thanks for advertising. Thank you, Barb, and thank you, Frugati's. People, give these people your business. Want to move on. I was talking about the Kern High School District Board of Trustees when the red alert was going off and bombs were landing in Israel. I think I said, what, 14 or 15 bombs had already landed within the last hour between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. But I wanted to finish this up about the Kern High School District. So basically, the Kern High School District has stopped disciplining students for bad behavior. That's the bottom line. And it's going to take leadership from the top, serious backbone, somebody that can handle the pressure, like President Trump, who can handle the pressure. Somebody that can handle the pressure, because there's going to be attacks on every side, especially by Democrats and liberal progressives. There's going to be all kinds of attack. But it's about time we got discipline back in the classrooms. Not even just here in Kern County, but across the state. All right, now, water. Want to talk real quick about water. I started talking about it yesterday when we had terrible technical difficulties, of which we apologize sincerely. There was nothing that we could do about it. So anyway, California's new water rationing, it amounts to another tax because people will be fined. So let me tell you what the Democrats are doing. The Democrats have said that this bill, which is to be in effect until January 1st, 2025, this bill is going to fine you as an individual or as a family if you use over 55 gallons of water per individual in your household. It's a $1,000 a day of fine that I understand is picked up by the water agencies. And of course, you know that'll be transferred back to us. We'll pick up, we'll wind up paying for that $1,000 or those $1,000 fines that accumulate by the water agency as a result of Democrats. So let me tell you what Democrats are doing with their water. 50% of our water here in California is going into the ocean. It's called for environmental purposes. It's falling into the ocean. 40% is used by ag. 10% is used in industry. 2% is used by us. 2% is used by residential users, by residents here in California. It's ridiculous. And it's ridiculous that fines that will be $1,000 a day will be passed on to people that have to pay for their water. This is why we have to vote. President Trump is right. We need more Republicans. We need Republicans in the California state legislature. We need Republicans in Washington, D.C. I just saw this. I guess it was yesterday. Kamala Harris. Apparently, she's not ruling out running for president in 2020. Kamala Harris was at the border with signs by Muslims supporting CARE. You know what CARE is? The Council on American Islamic Relations. They're a Hamas front group. Hamas stands for the Islamic Resistance Movement that's controlling Gaza, that's dropping bombs on Israel. 14 bombs within the last hour came from Gaza-controlled Hamas. Relations is supporting Kamala Harris, our California state senator. What happens overseas has an impact on what happens here, and what happens here impacts what happens there. Kamala Harris was down on the border, and she, along with Maxine Waters, by the way, Maxine Waters, who is calling on people to harass Republicans, harass conservatives. Kamala Harris and Maxine Waters are in one accord about harassing people, keeping them up all night long, shouting in front of their homes so their families and their children can't sleep at night. Can you imagine having some leftist, having some liberal progressive like a Kamala Harris and her followers from California, or Maxine Waters, a Democrat in Congress, sending their little minions, their leftists, to your house so they can shout and scream to keep you and your children up all night? Maxine Waters needs to resign. She needs to resign from office, and I want every one of you calling, every one of you that's listening to this show or who will listen to it later, or later in the week when it goes on another internet station that's heard nationwide, I want you to call Congress. 202-224-3121. Call Congress. 202-224-3121. You tell your member in Congress that you want Maxine Waters handed her walking papers. She needs to be forced out of Congress. She is calling on people to go to restaurants, gas stations, their private homes. Don't allow them to shop at a department store. She doesn't want them to be allowed to eat in a restaurant. She wants them to not to have any peace. Mind you, The laws that she and Kamala Harris are down there on the board, who was down there on the border demonstrating against President Trump, were laws that were passed during the Clinton administration and during the Obama administration. And Jay Johnson, play that clip from Jay Johnson. I want you to, this is President Obama's Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security telling you, California and the American people, they were detaining thousands of youth. Where was Kamala Harris then? You got that clip? Thank you. Let's listen.
I understand that. Let's look, because you mentioned it, at how the Obama administration and you as Secretary of Homeland Security handled this back in 2014, when there was also a spike in children, most of them unaccompanied, coming across the border. You started jailing entire families. In some cases, not a lot, but in some, you separated children from their parents. And these pictures that we're putting up from 2014 show pictures of unaccompanied minors in effect, jail situations. As you look back on that, did you handle it so well?
Well, Chris, without a doubt, the images and the reality from 2014, just like 2018, are not pretty. And so we expanded family detention. We had then 34,000 beds for family detention, only 95 of 34,000 equipped to deal with families. So we expanded it. I freely admit it was controversial. We believed it was necessary at the time. I still believe it is necessary to maintain a certain capability for families. We can't have catch and release. And in my 3 years, we deported or repatriated or returned over 1 million people. But again, you can deal with this on the border. You can try different things. We did not want to go so far as separate families, but unless we deal with the underlying causes that are motivating people to come here in the first place, we're going to continue to bang our heads against the wall on this issue.
All right. So
you all heard it from Jay Johnson. This policy was going on during the Obama administration. Kamala Harris, where were you? Maxine Waters, where were you? Where were the leftists? Where were the Democrats? Where were the liberal progressives? Where were you? You were absent, because that was a Democrat president and a Democrat, Jay Johnson, the director or the secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Wow, what hypocrisy. Kamala Harris, you're such a hypocrite. Maxine Waters, you're such a hypocrite. Go home, resign your seats from, Kamala Harris, resign your seat as a senator. Maxine Waters, resign your seat as a Democrat in Congress. You absolutely have no integrity. You've dishonored the office of which you hold as a leader in Congress and as a leader in the Senate. Kamala Harris tweeted out this: "These mothers' personal stories demonstrate a human rights abuse committed by the United States government." Kamala Harris, Democrats passed those laws. Democrats passed laws that supported the idea that when people break the law, you have to separate them from their parents while their parents are going through the legal process. Now, President Trump signed an executive order so that temporarily, until Congress gets its act together, the law can be rewritten. But Kamala Harris, why didn't you tell those mothers that were separated from their children, why didn't you tell them, ladies, don't break the law. Go to a legal port of entry. And if you fear for your life, you tell them that you're seeking refuge. Kamala Harris, we're not a nation that's based on your emotion. We're not a nation that runs its government policies on the emotions of women like Maxine Waters and you. We're a nation of laws, and those laws have to be upheld. Otherwise, there's lawlessness on the local, state, and federal level. We can't have lawlessness on the local, state, and federal level. So Kamala Harris, you shirked your responsibility, and you're irresponsible for saying, oh, it broke my heart. It breaks all of our hearts. So tell those women, look, what kind of mothers are you dragging your children through a very dangerous desert with coyotes? or narco-terrorists or human traffickers? What kind of mother are you to put your children through that? Next time, don't come here illegally. Next time, if you need to come here, you come through a legal port of entry and you do things legally and lawfully. And that way, things will go better for you. You should have been telling them what they needed to do. You should have been encouraging them to obey the law. You should have been encouraging them and saying that President Trump signed an executive order, and you should be part of the solution, Kamala Harris and Maxine Waters, and helped unite the families by helping them do what is right legally under the laws of the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, I've got to run. I hope you've enjoyed this broadcast. Tried to get a lot out today. We didn't finish. Still have all of this left for tomorrow, plus whatever new comes along. But anyway, I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow, Wednesday. Thank you for listening. Please share this broadcast out to everyone that you know. Let's expand this listenership. Let's get out the word. Let's move America and California and Kern County forward. Let's help strengthen our communities for the good of everyone involved. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. This is Denice signing off.
Thank you for listening to The Denice Gary Show. Intelligent talk media.